All right, Marshie, the Great Dark Beyond wild card review, super speed mode. All right, we're only going to talk about the really cool cards. So first up, we have the 8 hands from Beyond. So with this guy, destroy both players' decks except the highest cost cards in each. This, I think, is both really good and really bad. So if you use this against a Renathal player, you're deleting a lot of their deck, but you're leaving them with all of the cards they're trying to end up with by the end of the game. So you're basically turboing them to their game plan. So I think especially if you're going to play this on 8, it's going to be really awkward. But you can get it out faster with our friend Exarch Maladar. So the next card you play this turn costs corpses instead of mana. So you can turbo it out that way, which is pretty good. But I also think that there are a lot of better things you can be doing with Maladar. So Maladar, for example, as I figured out in the Theorycraft stream, does add corpses to the numbers on Climactic Necrotic Explosion when it allows you to cast Necrotic Explosion for corpses. So this, I think, makes Climactic Necrotic Explosion a real card in an even Rainbow DK, whereas before it was just for funnies. I also think that this is just nuts, right? Like every deck, this is like Reska levels of card quality. I think this is going to go in literally every deck that a DK can play in Wild. If you're playing Unholy to any degree, this is going to be in your deck, especially because it's an even card. So if you cast the CNE for corpses, there's a gain the 10 stats before it goes off. Like I said, yeah, it does do that. So it makes CNE an actual real card because you can turbo it like that and get it out faster. But yeah, so this card is nuts. This is like the only like 5-star card in the set for DK, in my opinion. I think Akanai Deathspeaker has some long-term use in Wild, but I don't think that it has any short-term use. The starships, I think, are good enough that you could play them in a Renathal deck and be happy about it. That goes for like every class, but I don't think they're good enough to be played on their own. Assimilating Blight could have been all right if it was an even card, but it's not, so it isn't. Airlock Breach, I think, is another really good card. So anything that can run Blood and Unholy will be pretty good. And I think especially because Rainbow DK is up there for best ways to run even in Wild, Airlock Breach will be pretty good. So this is going to be 5 corpses towards your CNE, but also it's 2 5/5s with taunt and you gain 10 health. So it's going to be really good against aggro and stuff. So it's great tempo, great defensively, and it helps juice your CNE for later. So I think this card's nuts. So yeah, I think maybe the Great Hands from Beyond, probably not, but Exarch Maladar and Airlock Breach are the big cards to look at for DK. For Demon Hunter, I don't think anything's really going to land. The crewmate stuff is interesting, but I don't think it's wild quality. So I wouldn't really expect any of those to see play. The Eldritch Being is also interesting. Being able to shuffle your hand makes some outcast cards a little bit more interesting, but even then, I don't think it's that great. Infiltrate is a nuts card, right? I just don't know that a Demon Hunter card... I don't know that there's a Demon Hunter deck that wants to play something like this, but being able to choose a minion to not take damage and deal 3 damage to all the other ones for 3, there are a ton of classes that would have liked to get this card, and they didn't. And then Zortoth, also kind of fun. This is like just good enough to be, if you wanted to run like a gimmicky version of Questline Demon Hunter, you could, but no. I do think this card is interesting, but I don't think it's not quite standard good. After this attacks, give your other minions +1 attack. Like if this was a pirate, that would be cracked, right? Alright, so for Druid, I'll admit I haven't looked too closely at Druid. So the starship pieces, same thing as everything else. I think I'm going to be able to have a lot of fun with starships in Wild just because of the nature of Renathal, no duplicates, Druid decks. You'll have a lot of options. Like the deck is strong enough defensively that you can get away with all kinds of weird win conditions, is my point. So I think the starships have fun potential in Wild. This is an 8 for 8/8 spell burst. Give your hero +8 attack this turn and 8 armor with elusive and taunt. And it's a beast? Huh. I mean, that's kind of nutty. Do you think even Druid could play that? I think this is cute, the Stargazer. I don't know that it's going to be good, but I think there's some potential. Is there any arcane that goes face? Yeah, Moonbeam does, Moonfire. Does that matter for this stuff? Rebuilding, nah. Yeah, discover 10 cost minion from the past, set its cost to 1. Summon 3/2/3 elementals with taunt. If your board is full, give your minions +1/+1. Yeah, I don't think. Draw a card. If it's a spell, it costs 1 less. Okay, this is nuts. This is going to get played in. Like, you could play 2 of these in a Renathal Druid deck just to make your deck shorter, right? This is basically 0 mana draw a card, which is the type of thing that Renathal decks want to be able to do. Like, just makes their deck shorter. That's a really good card. I didn't really think about that one. Yeah, I didn't look. I wasn't really paying attention during spoiler season, so yeah. The only card in here that I think has a real solid chance of being Wild playable is Arcanite Revelation. So then we have Grom the World Eater, which I think is going to be the nuts just because I pulled the signature and I'm trying to manifest it. But otherwise, no, I think that's terrible. Detailed notes, too icky for Wild. After you discover a card, get a copy of it. So that works with like tracking and Exarch Nile. This is going to be good, right? That's got to be a good card. I don't know what Hunter deck is going to play it. Like, you could probably play it in like a questline Hunter if you wanted. Oh, you could play that in Egg Hunter, couldn't you? Is that good in Egg Hunter? You get a second egg. Yeah, this is interesting. That'll find a home somewhere eventually. So in 2/2/5 beast with taunt, cost 1 less for each card you've discovered this game. I wonder if there's a way you could build Reno Hunter that this would be good. Okay, that's going in Reno Hunter first of all. Rangare Scout, that's a Reno Hunter card 100%. Alien Encounters, I think you could build it so that it does, but otherwise, I don't know. All right, so Parallax Cannon, it's a 2/3, has +2 attack if you discover this turn, and then Spell Burst, you're immune this turn. That's a solid card. Again, I think you have to build your deck pretty specifically for it, so I don't know that it's gonna have the. I don't know that it's gonna have the cards to be good in Wild, but I think it's a solid card. Exarch Nile? How do I pronounce that? So Battlecry, replace your hero power with tracking. So it's a 1 mana for discover a card from your deck. Absolutely cracked. And it's a spider tank. This card is nuts. Definitely going in Reno Hunter. Definitely going in Egg Hunter. And probably every other Hunter deck that can play it. This card is really good. Then after your opponent plays a minion, attack it. I was really impressed with the health on Specimen Claw. Deal damage equal to this minion's attack to a random enemy. Man, I wonder if you could build like a Renathal Starship Hunter and have it be okay. Because like all of their Starship pieces are really good. And that's interesting. You can like run all the Discover stuff too. Yeah, Hunter got a surprisingly good set of cards this time around. How do you make hero deck specific? What do you mean? All right, so here's the mage stuff I haven't read yet. Discover a spell and reduce its cost by 1. If you play this at this turn, repeat this effect. Oh, so this is just 5 cost Fireheart. That's interesting. Discover a spell and reduce its cost by 1 if you. Yeah, I mean maybe in some kind of Renathal mage, but probably not. Okay, so Pocket Dimension is 4 mana for discover a spell and then repeat until you see one for a second time. there's actually a pretty decent likelihood that this is going to be 4 mana fill your hand with random discovered spells. Like, just because of how large the pool is for wild. And you always get at least 2 spells with this, right? Because it's 4 mana for discover 2 spells is kind of bad. But like 4 mana for fill your hand with discovered spells, slightly better than random spells. It's still pretty bad, I don't know. Give all elementals in your deck fire damage +1. Destroy the top 3 cards of your deck. Any fire spells or elementals are drawn instead. Wow. We have the elemental synergy for this. We actually do have the elemental synergy for this in Wild. That's actually kind of cool. Shuffle 5 random fire spells into your deck that cost 2 less. Nope. Not in Wild. Probably in Standard, but not in Wild. Deal 4 damage to a random enemy. If you played an elemental last turn, choose the target. Deal 2 damage to all enemies. Cost 1 less for each elemental you control. Interesting. So this one definitely in Wild. Definitely. That's 3 mana, draw 3 in Wild. 3 mana, 3/1, draw 3 in Wild. With a chance to draw 2, right? Because you're going to run Book of Specters. Huh. Pretty interesting. Fill your hand with random fire spells that cost 1. That's doo-doo. The next Draenei you play refreshes mana crystals equal to its attack. Well, is there a big Draenei we can play with this? Marshie becoming an Arcwing pilot anytime soon? Every time. 2 mana Soulfire with no discard is okay. Deal 4 damage to a random enemy. Oh, it can go face. I didn't think about it going face. I was thinking about it compared to the 1 mana deal 4 thing that we have already for elementals. But yeah, you can go face. I still think that's a standard card. I don't think that's going in Wild. Oh, Maruk, you're asking to be able to set a favorite hero. You just go to the heroes, you click it up, and you can toggle favorite. The legendary is a Draenei, so you just use that with wait. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. Summon an Arcwing pilot. This is what you want to be doing, isn't it? Equal to its attack? I don't know. I feel like there could be something here for Wild, but I don't know. Anyways, I think Saroon... Give all elementals in your deck fire spell damage +1. I don't know that that's quite there. I think that's going to be a cope elemental build, but I could definitely see Blazing Accretion actually making Elemental Mage real and Wild. I think the Wild is very low to the ground. It just wants a lot of draw and a lot of discounts, and it has a lot of discounts. It just doesn't have as much draw, and I think that'll definitely get it there. Librams are going nuts. No. Barkley, don't be too crazy.
Barkley, no.
Barkley, come on. You stop. So yeah, Orbital Station, discover Draenei. If you played it, just no. Your hero okay, so Lumia is interesting, right? After your hero takes damage, they become immune for the rest of the turn. After a hero takes damage, they become immune for the rest of the turn. So not only is this a 6 mana 9/9 thing that an aggro opponent would have to trade into to be able to deal a lot of damage to your face, but also you can drop it on 6, and then your opponent can't advance their questline Warlock any longer. Like if you get this out early enough. So it's a little spicy from that point, but I think it's going to be more cute than good. I will say though, as an anti-aggro card, it's pretty good, because your opponent is going to have to trade into this in order to keep damaging your face, right? So it's interesting. Then I'm looking for non-Libram stuff. It's mostly Libram stuff, right? While you have exactly 1 minion in play, its attack and health are 10. Interesting. I think you could do something cool with this in Wild, but I don't know that it's going to manifest right away. But yeah, the Libram stuff is absolutely cracked. So first of all, we have 2 mana tutor. We have this weapon. So for 1 card, this reduces the cost of Librams twice. And you can tutor it with Weapon Technician. So you can run a Renathal deck and still find this reliably. And you can use this to reliably find Librams. There's a cheap Draenei that has like Spellburst, draw Draenei or something like that. So you're going to be able to find this or your Aldor really fast, the 1-cost Aldor. These are really good. So you get 3/3 Draenei with Divine Shield. And if you've gotten this all the way down to 0, which isn't that hard, they have Rush, which is pretty good. This one is cracked also. So 3 for draw 2 minions, already pretty good. But if it costs 0, you buff them up by +2/+1. It looks so good. The Libram support is cracked in this expansion. I think the Interstellar Wayfarer, I'm not sure, is even going to make it into the deck. So for 4 mana, it only reduces it by 1, and then it's just a 4/2 with Divine Shield. So I don't have a lot of faith in it. But Libram of Divinity is the big one, right? Give a minion +3/+3, and then you get it back at the end of your turn. It's not like the original Libram, where first of all it only gives +1/+1, but the minion has to die before you get to cast it again. You get to cast Libram of Divinity every single turn, no matter what your opponent does. I think that's disgusting. And then Urel is pretty cool too. She has Rush, which is good for Libram decks because you can buff them up and trade into bigger things, but she gives you 3 Libram cards, which is also nice. But yeah, I think the Libram cards in this set are absolutely nuts. Libram Paladin is going to manifest in some way in Wild, absolutely. All right, so Priest. I actually got wrecked with this guy in the tavern, not in the Theorycraft stream, but I don't know that he's any good in Wild, right? Because in Wild you have ways to deal with stuff like this. Next Draenei you play summons a copy of itself. Yeah, I think that's a very standard thing to do. Whenever another minion is overhealed, give it that much extra health. So this is the big one, right? This is the minion interfire one, because you can run all of the like. So first of all, Clergy got unbanned, right? Doing a shot every time Martian says manifest. So Clergy got unbanned, right? So you can play Circle of Healing and have a Clergy in this out. You'll get to draw on the Clergy, but the Clergy will also get +4 permanent health. So plus anything else you already had out. So if you're trying to like OTK with something that turn, you know, you play, is it Rejuvenate the 0 for heal something for 3? But yeah, you play Circle of Healing in that, and you just buff something up by a bunch for 0, and then you can Topsy-Turvy or Interfire or whatever you want to do. So I think this card could make Minion Interfire. I don't know why I called it Minion Interfire. I think this could just make Interfire or Divine Favor Combo Priest, however you want to call it, be pretty good. Give a minion +2/+1 and Divine Shield, cost 0 if you played an adjacent card this turn. Interesting. They're giving straight up Divine Shield in a not dual class fashion to Priest. That's supposed to be a Paladin keyword. If you played an adjacent card, this costs 0. That's good, right? Isn't that nuts? 0 for +2/+1 costs Divine Shield. Then we have set every minion's attack and health to the lower of the 2. Oh, okay. So I saw Corbett pointed out that you can run this with Pint-Sized Potion, and it's a 1 mana board clear, right? So you use Pint-Sized Potion to give all the aggro minions -3 attack, and then you use this to set everything's health to be 0 because it's the lower of the 2. So you run Gravity Lapse and Pint-Sized Potion together. It's pretty silly. I don't know about Overzealous Healer. So restore health to the enemy hero, silence this, like Spellburst, silence this minion. No, it's good, right? It's a 1 mana 3/3, and then you just coin and play something else. Pretty stupid. Is Clergy going crazy and wild right now? I don't know that it is. How is Gravity Lapse going to work with Automaton? I don't know. Wait, it works the same way that Confuse does. So it'd be like a double... Wait. Set every minion's attack and health to the lower of the 2. Yeah, good question. I don't know, actually. This is the card that got clergy or got Radiant Elemental nerfed to Lightspeed. So if Radiant Elemental had still been live when Lightspeed came out, then you would just be able to play infinite Lightspeed when you had 2 Radiant Elementals, and it would have incentivized animation cheating for one, but also would have been pretty strong on its own. Because even if you don't OTK, you just do 2 of those, and then you have 2 giant Radiant Elementals on turn, 2 or 3. So yeah, that's why Radiant Elemental had to go. Deal 3 damage to a minion, give a random minion in your hand plus 3 health. I don't know about this, but it's interesting. So overall, I think there are a couple of like really busted things in here for Priest, but so like Orbital Halo nuts, Anchorite super nuts. This might be, I don't know, there's a chance this is going to be the most wild relevant card. And then Gravity Lapse is interesting, potentially as a board clear. If both hero, like, this is going to be fun, but it's not going to be good. Okay, so most of this stuff is just star pieces and bad, right? So deal 3 damage to a minion, reduce the cost of a combo card in your hand by 1. Okay, this could be good, right? It's removal that helps you set up at like an Alex OTK or something. The fact that the 1 mana 3/3 is doubted to be good is amazing. It just took me a second. It's good. I'm sure it's good. But yeah, so get a random, none of the star piece stuff I expect to be any good. And discover a combo minion. The next one you play triggers its combo twice. Huh. I don't think this is going to be good in like a Scabs deck, but I could see it being good in something else. But okay, so Space Rock Collector, really good with field contact. So this is a field contact card for sure. I could see field contact and also Quasar. But yeah, pressure point, I could see that being an Alex, right? Because doesn't that reduce the amount of, this is another thing that reduces the mana you need to combo off. So I could see pressure points being really good in that. Combo and spell burst plus 2 attack and stealth. Yeah, I don't know about this one. This seems like a really good standard card, but I don't think that there's an aggro non-pirate rogue deck that's just waiting on something like this to be real. So yeah, the Space Rock Collector, I could see this being a really good combo card in field contact decks. Quasar, so between Quick Pick and Knick-Knack Shack alone, like with Quasar, all you need is a way to draw a bunch of cards after you've played Quasar, specifically in the same turn. So specifically in the same turn. So Quick Pick, you can play in advance. Knick-Knack Shack, you can play it in advance. Someone said something earlier that made me, like, I think there's another one you can play in advance. But anyways, these are things you can play in advance so that you can draw the same turn that you Quasar. You can also prep and counterfeit coin to get this thing out earlier. So it's not like you have to get to turn 6 to play Quasar. But yeah, so shuffle your hand into your deck and then reduce the cost of cards in your deck by 3. If you do that and then everything in your deck costs 3 or less, then your entire deck becomes free, right? So you can play it with like Garrot Rogue or something like that. You know, there's all kinds of things you can do with this if you want to just have a silly Quasar time. I'm not sure how broken it's going to be, but I think it's going to be good, or like good enough to be fun. So Space Rock Collector, I'm sure this is going to find its way into something disgusting. Pressure points, I could see that just being a marginal upgrade for Alex Rogue, and Quasar I think is going to open up some archetypes that might end up being like tier 4, but I think it'll be pretty good. Couldn't Lucky Comet increase the speed of Alex Rogue? No, right? Because you need to double multiple battle cries and multiple combo effects. This only doubles one. So the asteroids, I think, could be okay, but I think they're mostly just going to be a slower way to win with a Shutterwalk deck. And also, you can't play it and have your Reno and Zephyrus trigger. The newer stuff, like Reno Hero, will still trigger, but the older stuff, I don't think so much. Murmur, though, I think is a good upgrade for Reno Shaman because it allows you. So, like, for example, if you play the Ziliax that copies itself with this, the first one will die, but the second one is going to live, right? The copy, you haven't played the copy just comes out. So I expect playing it with Ziliax is going to be good. And so if you have a Ziliax in the pool, if you have a Ziliax's copy effect, then when you play Shudderwalk is going to make a copy and only the real one is going to die. And so much like when you play Shudderwalk regularly when it's making a copy, the copy still exists to be returned to your hand with Grumble. So like the fact that this lets you play expensive battle cries like Ziliax and Reno early, I think is going to be relevant. Murmur into Shutterblock into Prophet. I mean, like, yeah, I do think that Murmur is going to be a good part of Reno Shutterwalk Shaman. I don't know that it's going to change much drastically, but it's going to allow you to do a lot of things earlier that you couldn't do before. So I think that's going to be an upgrade for that. I don't know about the asteroid stuff. I think that's like, especially if you're running a duplicates Renathal Shaman, I think you could do some funny asteroid stuff, but I don't know that's going to be very good. Discover 2 ACOS minions to summon. Nobody's going to play that. Discover a spell from your deck, reduces cost by 5. I don't think anyone's going to play that. The next Draenei you play costs 2 less, but has Overload too. Is there a Draenei you want to cheat out really fast? Okay, open the Galaxy's Lens. It absorbs the power of the next spell you cast. Absorb the spell's power. Okay, so this will make it so that it open up the... So if you play this on 5, and then the spell burst is like Volcano, like you just get the... Or Volcano... Baking Soda Volcano? Isn't that nutty? Oh, it's a Death Rattle? That is kind of yucky. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. I think this could be good. I could see this getting into Reno Shutterwalk lists. I also think Triangulate, while it's obviously supposed to be an asteroid card, I think it's a pretty good generic card, so I could see that being good. See, I think Shaman got some like fun stuff and some maybe marginal upgrades to Shutterwalk. I don't know. Murmur, I think, could be a significant upgrade. But yeah. It got some stuff, but it didn't get anything too game changing, I don't think. Oh, this is going to be good for Questline Shaman, right? Like, especially with Bioluminescence. Like, if you wanted to win with Bioluminescence, they want cards like this. That's 1 mana for create 2 things. And it's an overload card, unlike Tour Guide. Interesting. See, I could see that being good. Then we have... Okay, so the demon stuff is just going to be silly, right? Like Foreboding Flame, I think could be really fun if you wanted to run a Kil'jaeden deck in Warlock, like a duplicates Reno deck with Kil'jaeden. Like Foreboding is going to help you with that. And then like Infernal Stratagem, I think would be really good in an aggro demon deck, but I don't think that big demons... Like a big demon deck would want you not to play small demons, right? So this doesn't help you with that. It would have to be like a dump your hand kind of aggro demon deck. And I don't think this is enough to make that happen. Then the rest of this is starships. Kara the Dark Star is interesting. Like you can play it with Tamsin to deal a bunch of damage with some spell, some shadow spells in a turn. But you have to do so much damage with this before you can like compare it to the consistency of Questline Warlock, right? So I think this will be a fun card. I don't think it'll be a impactful card. Hellstone, so you restore all damage your hero has taken this turn. Would be really good if you've popped off with Dark Glare in Questline Warlock. I don't think it's a 2 of, but I could see it maybe being as a 1 of, but it strikes me as a win more card, right? Like, it's not like Dark Pact where whether or not you dealt damage to yourself this turn. You can heal if you need to. This, you have to have done your thing in order for this to be good. But I don't know, like playing it the same turn you play double crystallizer is plus 10 out of nowhere. So I do think that it has some potential. I could see it as a 1 or maybe as a 2 of in questline, especially now that most people, or that people are exploring Renathal, but hard to say for sure. Starship pieces just for funnies. Archimond, I don't even think Archimond is actually that great in a Kill Jaden deck, because in a Kill Jaden deck you're just playing the stuff off the top, right? I don't think this is good. Yeah, I mean, it might be, but I don't know. Black Hole is just worse twisting other. Like, I can't believe how bad this card is. So yeah, Warlock got maybe some interesting stuff to think about, but I think it's mostly more for fun stuff. The card that has the most potential, I think, is Hearthstone. Double Crystallizer from 30 would still only heal 5 with Hearthstone. Sure. Well, it would heal 7. Oh, I see what you're saying, because it chips away at the armor. You're right. When you're right, you're right. But no, but like if you've taken half your health, it's still gonna heal you for 10. Yeah. No, this is like if you're trying to heal against aggro, like double crystallizer, you play Hearthstone, it's gonna be good. Especially like if you raise dead into those crystallizer, it gives you a lot of wiggle room. I'm actually kind of talking to myself into it. I think this might be a card. All right, so for Wild, I think Spore is going to be interesting because in Wild you can play Renathal with it, and it seems like a Renathal card, especially because we have that 3-cost card that tutors the Spores, and we have Buckler Shatter. So like we have a lot of good defensive tools that Standard doesn't have. So like I think we can make a fun Renathal Spore deck, and I know I'm going to try, but I don't know that it's not going to be like great, right? It's not going to be amazing. The Draenei weapon is ridiculous. Do we even have a lot of like great Draenei for an aggro Draenei deck in Wild? Because if we ran Weapons Technician or something, maybe we would run the other one. We would run the +1 Cash, Corsair's Cash. So if we Corsair's Cash to get Crystalline Great Mace, and then buff our hand out the wazoo to make giant Draenei. We could do something cool with this, but I think it's just going to feel like standard Draenei plus, it's not going to be that different from a standard deck. But all the Draenei stuff would, well, most of it anyway. That one would see play. Maybe not that one, but maybe. That would be really good. You'd play a Kama. This one would see play. So yeah, we'd see like some of this, I think, in a Draenei deck, but it would depend on, I haven't looked closely enough at the Draenei from Wild sets. I can't tell you if that's actually going to be good or not. Hostile Invader is really cool to discover off of Kill Jaden, but I don't know that you'd ever try to play it, would you? So you can trigger the Battle Cry, obviously, just when you play it, and Spell Burst isn't too bad to trigger alongside Hostile Invader, but I've mostly played this when it costs 3 or 4 in Kill Jaden decks. I haven't really played it in, just as 5 in a Warrior deck, so I don't think it's going to be that great. Dwarf Planet, I don't understand what they're doing with that. Ethereal Oracle, I don't know what specifically is going to play this, but this is 3 for draw 2 spells and +1 spell damage. This card is pretty good. I imagine it'll see play in something. Pack filler. Set the cost of a random spell in your hand to this minion's cost. I mean, it's just like it's a big spell mage card. So if we're gonna play big spell mage, I mean, I guess it could be this could be a tip, but I think that's still slow. All right, get 2 random holy spells. Nope. Eridar Brute, I think, could be good, depending, like, if we continue to see a lot of pirate decks that get on board really fast, really early, I think that there are plenty of decks that would consider running Eridar Brute, because it's going to cost, 2, 3, 0 a lot of the time in Wild. So I think this card has a lot of potential. I didn't think it was very good in the Theorycraft stream, but you know, people weren't playing aggro in the Theorycraft stream, right? Like aggro doesn't really exist in standard quite the same as it does in wild, and people weren't excited to be playing aggro. So it wasn't very good there, but I think in wild it could actually be really good. Get a random minion of the spells. Nope. If you're building a starship, I think starship decks will probably consider this if you're running a silly build with Renathal. The start of your next turn, discover a spell. That's interesting. Maybe in a Draenei deck. This one's good, right? Give all Draenei in your hand +1/+1. So if you're trying to run a hand buff Draenei warrior, you have to run this card. And getting a copy of the last Draenei you played is really good, right? You can go Aldor Attendant, play this Aldor Attendant in Libram Paladin, stuff like that. Kil'jaeden, I think, is going to be an ETC card tech for Mill Druid for low legend and below players, at least. But I also think it makes a really spicy win condition for like a Renathal Duplicates Druid. So I think this is maybe just the type of card that's going to be really funny for me, but won't actually have a lot of impact. Moonstone Mauler, you just play that in Shaman. This is just funny. So 2 for 2/1 Draenei, Divine Shield, Spellburst, draw Draenei. That is going in every Draenei deck, but also I think it's going to go in the Aldor, the Libram deck to draw your Aldor Attendants and stuff. Like, I think it's good. That's a warrior card if it's going to be anything. Oh, okay. So we have 1 for 2/1 Pirate. Death Rattle, your next weapon costs 1 less. This is like the exact same thing Warrior already has, but Battlecry. But like if you were going to play Questline Warrior, you would play this. I don't know that you'd do anything else with it. That's just for sillies. That's whatever. Get 3 random temporary Draenei, I guess. I mean, this is why it feels like such a standard thing, right? We have a bunch of solid Draenei at standard speeds. I don't know that we're going to get any wild value out of a card like this. 3 for 2/1 Rush, give adjacent minions +1/+1 Rush. This feels like a 2019 card. Give all friendly Murlocs Death Rattle, draw a card. You know, this could be really good in Murloc Shaman if you were going to build that. I can see that being good. I don't know if this is even good enough for like a dedicated wild deck, but maybe. After it survives damage, gain a ramp. So whatever. Draw a card from your opponent's deck. If you don't play it this turn, put it back. Okay, so this is going to be another tech card that shows up in everyone's tech pile. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be good. Play costs 1 less for each adjacent card played while in hands. I mean, Rogue could get this to cost 0 pretty easily, I think. You never know. The X-Star will see play in any Starship deck and not otherwise. Obviously, Starships are not going to be worth it to consider Star Volpera to destroy them. I don't even know that this is going to be in every Starship deck, the Dimensional Core. I think a lot of people will cut it, especially if you're trying to like Oaken Summons it out in Druid. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think this is a very good Starship piece. The next Draenei you play gets +2/+1. I think this would see play in like Draenei Warrior if that manifests in Wild, but I don't think it would see play in like anything else. Then the Ceaseless Expanse. I think this is very good. Obviously, it goes really well with Holy Wrath, right? Like, this is so strong in Holy Wrath that I think Holy Wrath has just become a Finley deck. Like, you're going to need to be able to Finley to put Ceaseless Expanse on the bottom in order to, you know, get it back if you draw it. But, I mean, this makes Holy Wrath real. I think it's going to be a deck. I don't know how high tier it's going to be, but it's going to be, you know, tier 3 or above Holy Wrath with this card. I also think it's pretty decent in Renathal builds. Like, if you're just playing a Renathal deck, there's a really high chance you're just going to play this because it gets discounted pretty fast. This was good if you're running like random generation Demon Hunter, but I don't think it's going to be a real deck, so I don't know. This will just get played in a Draenei deck, which I don't think will manifest, but who knows. And this I actually do think is a good Starship piece. So I think a lot of Starship decks that people try to play in Wild will play this, but I don't know that that'll be that many. Overall, I think this set is going to have I mean, it's like usual, right? There are a few cards in this set that are going to have a really high impact in Wild, and then a bunch of cards that are going to be mid to no impact. So, like, most of the cards are going to be basically no impact, but a few are going to have a huge impact. That's what I think.